On this video, I'm going to read James Allen's book of Meditations and Thoughts for the day, amongst his other amazing books and essays. Thank you for joining me as I read these amazing essays, collections of books. Please do feel free to share your thoughts, your comments, your feedback, your insights. What do you think of my style of reading? Does it resonate with you? I want to hear from you. And please subscribe if you haven't already. It's very much appreciated. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today to join me as I read these amazing essays and books. From James Allen. This edition is a combination of two books, Morning and Evening, Thoughts by James Allen, published 1909, and James Allen's Book of Meditations, published 1913. We'll skip the preface, or the contents of that matter, and we'll go straight to the heart of it all. James Allen, 1864 to 1912. Quote, I looked around upon the world and saw that it was shadowed by sorrow and scorched by the fierce fires of suffering. And I looked for the cause. I looked around, but I could not find it. I looked in books, but I could not find it. I looked within and found there both the cause, the self-made nature of that cause. I looked again and deeper and found the remedy. I found one law, the law of love, one love, the life of adjustment to that law. One truth, the truth of a conquered mind, the truth of a conquered mind, and a quiet and obedient heart. And I dreamed of writing books which would help men and women, whether rich or poor, learned or unlearned, worldly or unworldly, to find within themselves the source of all success, all happiness, accomplishment, all truth. And the dream remained with me, and alas, became substantial. And now I send forth these books into the world on a mission of healing and blessedness, knowing that they cannot fail to reach the homes and hearts of those who are waiting and ready to receive them. Editor's Preface from James Allen's Book of Meditations, 1913. James Allen may truly be called the prophet of meditation. In an age of strife, hurry, religious controversy, heated arguments, ritual and ceremony, he came with his message of meditation, calling men away from the din and strife of tongues into the peaceful paths of stillness within their own souls, with light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world, and burns steadily and surely for all who will turn their weary eyes from the strife without to the quiet within. Many of the meditations were written as he came down from the cairn in the early morning, where he spent those precious hours alone with God while the world slept. Others are gleaned from his many writings, published and unpublished, and are arranged for daily readings at his request, and we believe under his spiritual guidance. The book must ever be a stronghold of spiritual truth and blessing to all who read it, and especially to those who use it for daily meditation. Its great power lies in that it is the very heart of a good man who lived every word he wrote. The beautiful half-tone portrait is a speaking likeness of the author. It was taken only 6 weeks before his transition and has not been published before. We are indebted to Messrs. Putnam Sons, London and New York, and to Messrs. W.M. Ryder & Son, Limited, London, for their cordial expressions of pleasure that some of the meditations should be culled from the books published by them, viz. The Mastery of Destiny and Above Life's Turmoil, and From Passion to Peace and Man, King of Mind, Body and Circumstance, Ryder. Lily L. Allen, Brian Gullio, Ilfracombe, England. He who does not find the way of meditation cannot reach emancipation and enlightenment. But thou wilt find the way of holy thought. With mind, made calm and steadfast. Thou wilt see the permanent amid the mutable, the truth eternal in the things that change. Thou wilt behold the perfect law, cosmos from chaos, risen when the conquered self lies underneath man's heel. Love be thy strength. Look on the passion-tortured multitudes, and have compassion on them. Know their pain by thy long sorrow ended. Thou wilt come to perfect peace, and so will bless the world, leading unto the high and holy way, the feet of them that seek. And now I go to my abode. Go thou unto thy work. By thought we rise, by thought we fall, by thought we stand or go. All destiny is wrought by its swift potency, and he who stands master of thought and his desires commends. Willing and weaving thoughts of love and might, shapes us high, and in truth's unerring light. The month of January. Thought for the morning, for January 1st. Thoughts for the morning. In aiming at the life of blessedness, one of the simplest beginnings to be considered and rightly made is that which we all make every day, namely the beginning of each day's life. There is a sense in which every day may be regarded as the beginning of a new life, in which one can think, act, and live newly and in a wiser and better spirit. The right beginning of the day will be followed by a cheerfulness permeating the household with a sunny influence, and the tasks and duties of the day will be undertaken in a strong and confident spirit, and the whole day will be well lived. Meditation for the day. The way from passion to peace is by overcoming oneself. Frequently, the man of passion is most eager to put others right, but the man of wisdom puts himself right. If one is anxious to reform the world, let him begin by reforming himself. The reformation of self does not end with the elimination of the essential elements only. That is its beginning. It ends only when every vain thought and selfish aim is overcome. Short of perfect purity and wisdom, there is still some form of self-slavery or folly which needs to be conquered. On the wings of aspiration, man rises from earth to heaven, from ignorance to knowledge, from the underdarkness to the upper light. Without it, he remains a groveling animal, earthly, sensual, unenlightened, and uninspired. Aspiration is the longing for heavenly things. Thought for the evening. There can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice, and a man's worldly success will be in the measure that he sacrifices his confused animal thoughts and fixes his mind on the development of his plans and the strengthening of his resolution and self-reliance. And the higher lifts his thoughts, the more manly, upright, and righteous he becomes, the greater will be his success, the more blessed and enduring will be his achievements. January 2nd, thought for the morning. None but right acts can follow right thoughts. None but a right life can follow right acts. And by living a right life, all blessedness is achieved. Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes. The tool of thought in shaping what he wills brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 else. He thinks in secret and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. Meditation for the day. Where is peace to be found? Where is the hiding place of truth? Let first things be put first. Work before play, duty before enjoyment, and others before self. This is an excellent rule which cannot lead astray. To make a right beginning is halfway to victory. The athlete who makes a bad start may lose his prize. The merchant who makes a false start may lose his reputation. And the truth seeker who makes a wrong start may forgo the crown of righteousness. To begin with pure thoughts, sterling rectitude, unselfish purpose, noble aims, and an incorruptible conscience. This is to start right. This is to put first things right. This is to put first things first, so that all other things will follow in harmonious order. making life simple, beautiful, successful, and peaceful. The soul will cry out for its lost heritage. Thought for the evening. Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. A man becomes calm in the measure that he understands himself. As a thought of well-being, and as he develops a right understanding and sees more clearly the internal relations of things, by the action of cause and effect, he ceases to fret and fume, and worry and grieve, and remains poised, steadfast, serene. January 3rd, thought for the morning. To follow, under all circumstances, the highest promptings within you, to be always true to the divine self, to rely upon the inward voice, the inward light, and to pursue your purpose with a fearless and restful heart, believing that the future will yield unto you the need of every thought and effort, knowing that the laws of the universe can never fail, and that your own will come back to you with mathematical exactitude. This is faith and the living of faith. Meditation for the day. If one would find peace, he must come out of passion. So long as the animal conditions taste sweet to a man, he cannot aspire. He is so far satisfied. But when their sweetness turns to bitterness, then in his sorrow he thinks of nobler things. When he is deprived of earthly joy, he aspires to the joy which is heavenly. It is when impurity turns to suffering that purity is sought. Truly, aspiration rises, phoenix-like, from the dead ashes of repentance. But on its powerful pinions, man can reach the heavens, the heaven of heavens. The man of aspiration has entered the way which leads to peace, and surely he will reach that end if he stays not nor turns back. If he constantly renews his mind with glimpses of the heavenly vision, he'll reach the heavenly state. That which can be conceived can be achieved. Thoughts for the evening. Have a thorough understanding of your work and let it be your own. And as you proceed, ever following the inward guide, the infallible voice, you will pass on from victory to victory and will rise step by step to higher resting places. And your ever-broadening outlook will gradually reveal to you the essential beauty and purpose of life. Self-purified, health will be yours. Self-governed, power will be yours. And all that you do will prosper. And I may stand where health, success, and power await my coming. If each fleeting hour I cling to love and patience, and abide with statelessness, and abide with stainlessness, and never step aside from high integrity, so shall I see at last the land of immortality. January 4th, thought for the morning. When the tongue is well controlled and wisely subdued, when selfish impulses and unworthy thoughts no longer rush to the tongue, demanding utterance, when the speech has become harmless, pure, gracious, gentle, and purposeful, and no word is uttered but in sincerity and truth, then are the 5 steps in virtuous speech accomplished. Then is a second great lesson in truth learned and mastered. Make pure thy heart, and thou wilt make thy life rich, sweet, and beautiful. Meditation for the day. Our life is what we make it by our own thoughts and deeds. Man attains in the measure that he aspires. His longing to be is the gauge of what he can be. To fix the mind is to foreordain the achievement. As man can experience and know all low things, so he can experience and know all high things. As he has become human, so he can become divine. The turning of the mind in high and divine direction is a sole and needful task. What is impurity but the impure thoughts of the thinker? What is purity but the pure thoughts of the thinker? One man does not do the things of another. Each man is pure or impure of himself alone. The man of aspiration sees before him the pathway up the heavenly heights, and his heart already experiences a foretaste of the final peace. There is a life of victory over sin and triumph over evil. Thought for the evening. Having clothed himself with humility, the first questions a man asks himself are, how am I acting towards others? What am I doing, quote, what am I doing to others, end quote? Quote, how am I thinking of others, end quote? Quote, are my thoughts of and acts towards others prompted by unselfish love, end quote? As a man in the silence of his soul asks himself these searching questions, he'll unerringly see where he has hitherto failed. January 5th. Thought for the morning. To dwell in love always and towards all is to live the true life, is to have life itself. Knowing this, the good man gives up himself unreservedly to the spirit of love, and dwells in love towards all, contending with none, condemning none, but loving all. The Christ spirit of love puts an end not only to all sin, but to all division and contention. Meditation for the day. When a man wishes and wills, he can find the good and the true. The gates of heaven are forever open. I and no one is prevented from entering by any will or power but his own. But no one can enter the kingdom of heaven so long as he is enamored of and chooses the seductions of hell, so long as he resigns himself to sin and sorrow. There's a larger, higher, nobler, diviner life than that of sinning and suffering, which is so common and which indeed nearly all are immersed. A life of victory over sin and triumph over evil. A life wise and happy, benign and tranquil, virtuous and peaceful. This life can be found and lived now, and he who lives it is steadfast in the midst of change, restful among the restless, peaceful though surrounded by strife. Every moment is a time of choice, every hour is destiny. Thought for the evening. When sin and self are abandoned, the heart is restored to its imperishable joy. Joy comes and fills the self-emptied heart. It abides with the peaceful, its reign is with the pure. Joy flees from the selfish, it deserts the quarrelsome. It is hidden from the impure. Joy cannot remain with the selfish, it is wedded to love. January 6th, thought for the morning. In the pure heart there is no room left where personal judgments and hatreds can find lodgment, for it is filled to overflowing with tenderness and love. It sees no evil, and only as men succeed in seeing no evil, in others will they become free from sin and sorrow and suffering. If men only understand that the heart that sins must sorrow, that the hateful mind tomorrow reaps its barren harvest, weeping, starving, resting not, nor sleeping, tenderness would fill their being. They would see with pity seeing, if they only understood. Meditation for the day. The lover of the pure life renews his mind daily. As an energetic man of business is not daunted by difficulties, but studies how to overcome them, so the man of ceaseless aspiration is not crushed into submission by temptations, but meditates how he may fortify his mind. For the temper is like a coward. He only creeps in at weak and unguarded points. The tempted one should study thoughtfully the nature and meaning of temptation. For until it is known, it cannot be overcome. He who is to overcome temptation must understand how it arises in his own darkness and error, and must study by introspection and meditation how to disperse the darkness and supplant error by truth. A man must know himself if he is to know truth. Self-knowledge is the handmaid of self-conquest. Engage daily in holy meditation on truth and its attainment. Thought for the evening. To stand face to face with truth. To arrive after innumerable wanderings and pains at wisdom and bliss. Not to be finally defeated and cast out, but to ultimately triumph over every inward foe, such as man's divine destiny, such as his glorious goal, And this every saint, sage, and savior has declared. A man only begins to be a man when he ceases to whine and revel, and commences to search for the hidden justice which regulates his life. And as he adapts his mind to that regulating factor, he ceases to accuse others as the cause of his condition, and builds himself up in strong and noble thoughts, ceases to kick against circumstances, but begins to use them as aids to his more rapid progress, and as a means of discovering the hidden power and possibilities within himself. January 7th, thought for the morning. The will to evil and the will to good are both within thee. Which wilt thou employ? Thou knowest what is right and what is wrong. Which wilt thou love and foster? Which destroy? Thou art the chooser of thy thoughts and deeds. Thou art the maker of thine inward state. The power is thine to be what thou wilt be. Thou buildest truth and love, or lies and hate. Meditation for the day. As errors and impunities are revealed, purge them away. Every step toward means the leaving of something behind and below. The high is reached only at the sacrifice of the low. The good is secured only by abandoning the evil. Knowledge is acquired only by the destruction of ignorance. Every acquisition has its price, which must be paid to the uttermost farthing. End quote. Every animal, every creeping thing possesses some gift, some power which man in his upward march has laid down, which he has exchanged for some higher gift or power. What great good men forfeit by clinging to old selfish habits. Behind every humble sacrifice, a winged angel waits to bear us up the heights of knowledge and wisdom. Let him who has attained guard against falling back. Let him be careful in little things and be well fortified against the entrance of sin. Aim with ardor for the attainment of a perfect life. Thought for the evening. The teaching of Jesus brings men back to the simple truth that righteousness or right doing is entirely a matter of individual conduct and not a mystical something apart from a man's thoughts and deeds. Calmness and patience can become habitual by first grasping through effort a calm and patient thought, and then continuously thinking it and living in it until, quote, use becomes second nature, end quote, and anger and impatience pass away forever. January 8th, thoughts for the morning. Man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace. By the right choice and true application of thought, a man ascends to divine perfection. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. Between these two extremes are all the grades of character, and man is their maker and master. As a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the lord of his own thoughts, man holds the key to every situation. Meditation for the day. The strife of the world, in all its forms, has its origin in one common cause, namely individual selfishness. All the varied activities of human life are rooted in and draw their vitality from one common source, the human heart. The cause of all suffering and all happiness resides not in the outer activities of human life, but in the inner activities of the heart and mind. And every external agency is sustained by the life which it derives from human conduct. The man who cannot endure to have his errors and shortcomings brought to the surface and made known, but tries to hide them, is unfit to walk the highway of truth. He is not properly equipped to battle with and overcome temptation. He who cannot fearlessly face his lower nature cannot climb the rugged heights of renunciation. Each man comes under the laws of his own being, never under the laws of another. Thought for the evening. Whatsoever you harbor in the inmost chamber of your heart will sooner or later be the inevitable law of reaction, shape itself in your outward life. Every soul attracts its own, and nothing can possibly come to it that does not belong to it. To realize this is to recognize universally of divine law. If thou wouldest right the world and banish all its evils and its woes, Make its wild places bloom and its drear deserts blossom as the rose then right thyself. January 9th. Thought for the morning. Whatsoever conditions are rendering your life burdensome, you may pass out of and beyond them by developing and utilizing within you the transforming power of self-purification and self-conquest. Before the divine radiance of a pure heart, all darkness vanishes and all clouds melt away. And he who has conquered self has conquered the universe. He who sets his foot firmly upon the path of self-conquest, who walks aided by the staff of faith, the highway of self-sacrifice, will assuredly achieve the highest prosperity and will reap abounding and enduring joy and bliss. Meditation for the day. When the soul is most tried, its need is greatest. Do not despair because of failure. From your particular failure there is a special greatness, a peculiar wisdom to be gained. And no teacher can lead you to that greatness, that wisdom, more surely and swiftly than your experience of failure. In every mistake you make, in every fall you encounter, there is a lesson of vital import, if you will but search it out. And he who will stoop to discover the good in that which appears to be disastrous will rise superior to every event, and will utilize his failures as winged steeds to bear him to a final and supreme success. Foolish men blame others for their lapses and sins, but let the truth lover blame only himself. Let him acknowledge his complete responsibility for his own conduct. Where temptation is powerful, the greater and more enduring will be the victory. Thought for the evening. It is the silent and conquering thought forces which bring all things into manifestation. The universe grew out of thought. To adjust all your thoughts to a perfect and unswerving faith in the omnipotence and supremacy of good is to cooperate with that good and to realize within yourself the solution and destruction of all evil. To mentally deny evil is not sufficient. It must by daily practice be risen above and understood. To affirm the good mentally is adequate. It must by unswerving endeavor be entered into and comprehended. I do apologize for the change of screen from time to time. January 10th. Thoughts for the morning. Every thought you think is a force sent out, whatever your position in life may be. Before you can hope to enter into any measure of success, usefulness, and power, you must learn how to focus your thought forces by cultivating calmness and repose. There is no difficulty, however great, but will yield before a calm and purposeful concentration of thought. No legitimate object, but may be speedily actualized by the intelligent use and direction of one's soul forces. Think good thoughts, and they will quickly become actualized in your outward life in the form of good conditions. Meditation for the day. The great need of the soul is the need of that permanent principle called righteousness. The old must pass away before the new can appear. The old cottage must be demolished before the new mansion can appear upon its site. The old error must be destroyed before the new truth can come. The old self must be renounced before the new man can be born. When the old self of temper, impatience, envy, pride, and impurity has perished, then in its place will appear the new man of gentleness, patience, goodwill, humility, and purity. Let the old life of sin and sorrow pass. Let the new life of righteousness and joy come in. Then all that was old and ugly will be made new and beautiful. It is in the realization of this principle where the kingdom of heaven, the abiding home of the soul, resides, and which is the source and storehouse of every permanent blessing. A life of virtue is noble and excellent. Thought for the evening. That which you would be and hope to be, you may be now. Non-accomplishment resides in your perpetual postponement. And having the power to postpone, you also have the power to accomplish. to perpetually accomplish, realize this truth, and you shall be today and every day the ideal being of whom you dreamed. Say to yourself, quote, I will live in my ideal now. I will manifest my ideal now. I will be my ideal now. I will be my ideal now. And all that tempts me away from my ideal, I will not listen to. I will listen only to the voice of my ideal. End quote. January 11th. Thoughts for the morning. Be as a flower, content to grow in sweetness day by day. If thou wouldst perfect thyself in knowledge, perfect thyself in love. If thou wouldst reach the highest, ceaselessly cultivate a loving and compassionate heart. To him who chooses goodness, sacrificing all, is given that which is more than and includes all. Meditation for the day. It matters little what is without, for it is all a reflection of your own consciousness. The deplorable failure of many outward and isolated reforms is traceable to the fact that their devotees pursue them as an end in themselves, failing to see that they are merely steps towards ultimate individual perfection. All true reform must come from within, in a changed heart and mind. The giving up of certain foods and drinks and the breaking away from certain outward habits are good and necessary beginnings, but they are only beginnings, and to end there is to fall far short of a true spiritual life. It is good, therefore, to cleanse the heart, to correct the mind, and to develop the understanding, for we know that the one thing needed is a regenerate heart. It matters everything what you are within, for everything without will be mirrored and colored accordingly. Thought for the evening. The great Lord never cheats any man of his just due. Human life, when rightly lived, is simple. It's a beautiful simplicity. He who comprehends the utter simplicity of life, who obeys its laws and does not step aside into the dark paths and complex mazes of selfish desire, stands where no harm can reach him. Then there is fullness of joy, abounding plenty and rich and complete blessedness. January 12th. Thought for the morning. Every man reaps the results of his own thoughts and deeds, and suffers for his own wrong. He who begins right and continues right does not need to desire and search for felicitous results. They are already at hand. They follow as consequences. They are the certainties, the realities of life. Sweet is the rest and deep is the bliss of him who has freed his heart from its lusts and hatreds and dark desires. Meditation for the day. Renew your resolution daily, and in the hour of temptation, do not depart from the right path. Days are lengthening. Each day now the sun rises a little higher and the light lingers a little longer. So each day we can strengthen our character. Each day we can open our heart a little more to the light of truth and allow the sun of righteousness to shine more highly in our mind. The sun does not increase in volume or intensity, but the earth turns towards it and receives more as it turns. All that there is of truth and good is now. It does not increase or diminish, but as we turn towards it, we receive of its radiance and beneficence an ever-increasing abundance and power. As the artisan acquires skill in fashioning the articles of his craft by daily and diligent practice with his tools, so do you acquire skill in fashioning good deeds by daily and diligent practice of the truth. You can acquire truth only by practice. Thought for the evening. You are the creator of your own shadows. You desire, and then you grieve. Renounce, and then you shall rejoice. Of all the beautiful truths, pertaining to the soul, none is more gladdening or fruitful, divine promise and confidence in this, that man is the master of thought, the mold of character, and the maker and shape of character, environment, and destiny. January 13th, thought for the morning. As darkness is a passing shadow, and light is a substance that remains, so sorrow is fleeting, but joy abides forever. No true thing can pass away and become lost. No false thing can remain and be preserved. Sorrow is false, and it cannot live. Joy is true, and it cannot die. Joy may become hidden for a time, but it can always be recovered. Sorrow may remain for a period, but it cannot be transcended and dispersed. Do not think your sorrow will remain. It will pass away like a cloud. Do not believe that the torments of sin are ever your portion. They will vanish like a hideous nightmare. Awaken, arise, be holy and joyful. Meditation for the day. The wise purify their thoughts. Every day is a new birth in time, holding out new beginnings, new possibilities, new achievements. The ages have witnessed the stars in their orbits, but this day hath no age witnessed. It is a new appearance, a new reality. It heralds a new life, yea, a new order, a new society, a new age. It holds out new hopes, new opportunities to all men. In it you can become a new man, a new woman. For you it can be the day of regeneration, renewal, rebirth from the old past with its mistakes, failures, and sorrows. You can rise a new being, endued with power and purpose, and radiant with the inspiration of a new ideal. Be chaste in mind and body. Abandon sensual pleasures. Purge the mind of selfishness and live a life of exalted purity. Be upright, gentle, and pure hearted. Thoughts for the evening. Tribulation lasts only so long as there remains some chaff of self which needs to be removed. The tribulum or threshing machine ceases to work when all the grain is separated from the chaff. And when the last impurities are blown away from the soul, tribulation has completed its work, and there is no more need for it. Then abiding joy is realized. The soul in supreme use of suffering is to purify, to burn out all that is useless and impure. Suffering ceases for him who is pure. There could be no object in burning gold after the dross had been removed. January 14th, thought in the morning. Thought for the morning. Speaking of self-control, one is easily misunderstood. It should not be associated with a destructive repression, but with a constructive expression. A man is happy, wise, and great in the measure that he controls himself. He is wretched, foolish, and mean in the measure that he allows his animal nature to dominate his thoughts and actions. He who controls himself controls his life, his circumstances, his destiny, and wherever he goes, he carries his happiness with him as an abiding possession. Renunciation precedes regeneration. The permanent happiness which men seek in dissipation, excitement, and abandonment to unworthy pleasures is found only in the life which reverses all this. The life of self-control. Meditation for the day. Exert yourself ceaselessly in decreasing evil and accumulating good. Victory of all kinds is preceded by a season of preparation. It can be no more appear spontaneously and radically than can a flower or a mountain. Like them, it is the culminating point in a process of growth and a series of causes and effects. No mere wishing, no magic word will produce worldly success. It must be achieved by an orderly succession of well-directed efforts. No spiritual victory will be achieved by him who imagines that it does not begin until the hour of temptation arrives, All spiritual triumphs are gained in the silent hour of meditation, and through a series of successes in lesser trials. The time of great temptation is the climax of a conquest that long preparation has made certain and complete. Fix your minds on the practice of virtue and the comprehension and application of fixed and noble principles. Thought for the evening. Law, not confusion, is a dominating principle in the universe. Justice, not injustice, is the soul and substance of life, and righteousness, not corruption, is the molding and moving force in the spiritual government of the world. This being so, man is but to right himself to find that the universe is right. When I am pure, I shall have solved the mystery of life. I shall be pure. When I am free from hatred, lust, and strife, I am in truth, and truth abides in me. I shall be safe and sane and wholly free when I am pure. January 15th, thought for the morning. If men only understood that their hatred and resentment slays their peace, and sweet contentment hurts themselves, helps not another, does not cheer one lonely brother, they would seek the better doing of good deeds, which leaves no ruining. If they only understood. If men only understood how love conquers, how prevailing it is its might, grim hate assailing, how compassion endeth sorrow, maketh wise, and doth not borrow pain of passion, they would ever live in love, and hatred never, if they only understood. Meditation of the day. The never-ending gladness awaits your homecoming. The falling rain prepares the earth for the future crops of grain and fruit. So the rains of many sorrows showering upon the heart, prepare and mellow it for the coming of that wisdom that perfects the mind and gladdens the heart. As the clouds darken the earth but to cool and fructify it, so the clouds of grief cast a shadow over the heart to prepare it for noble things. The hour of sorrow is the hour of reverence. If it puts an end to the shallowest sneer, the ribald jest, the cruel calumny, it softens the heart with sympathy and enriches the mind with thoughtfulness. Wisdom is mainly recollection of all that was learned by sorrow. Do not think that your sorrow will remain, it will pass away like a cloud. Where self ends, grief passes away. Thoughts in the evening. The grace and beauty that were in Jesus can be of no value to you, cannot be understood by you, unless they are also in you, and they can never be in you until you practice them. For apart from doing, the qualities which constitute goodness do not, as far as you are concerned, exist. To adore Jesus for his good qualities is a long step towards truth, but to practice those qualities is truth itself, and he who fully adores the perfection of another will not rest content in his own imperfection, but will fashion his soul after the likeness of that other. Therefore, thou who adorest Jesus for his divine qualities, practice those qualities thyself, and thou too shalt be divine. January 16th, thought for the morning. Let a man realize that life in its totality proceeds from the mind, and lo, the way of blessedness is opened up to him, for he will then discover that he possesses the power to rule his mind and to fashion it in accordance with his ideal. So will he elect to strongly and steadfastly walk those pathways of thought and action, which are altogether excellent. To him life will become beautiful and sacred, and sooner or later he will put to flight all evil, confusion, and suffering. For it is impossible for a man to fall short of liberation, enlightenment, and peace who guards with unwearying diligence the gateway of his heart. Meditation of the day. Live sweetly and happily as becomes the dignity of a true womanhood and manhood. There's no greater happiness than to be occupied with good, whether it be good thoughts, good actions, or good employment. For every good thing is fraught with bliss, and evil cannot enter the heart or house that is tenanted by all that is good. The mind whose doors are guarded by good shuts out unhappiness, as the well-centered garrison shuts out the foe. Unhappiness can only enter through unguarded doors, and even then its power over the tenant is not complete unless it finds him occupied with evil. Not to entertain evil thoughts, not to do bad actions, not to engage in worthless or questionable employment, but to resort to good in all things. This is the source of supreme happiness. Pure happiness is the rightful and happy condition of the soul. Thought for the evening. By constantly overcoming self, a man gains a knowledge of the subtle intricacies of his mind. And it is the divine knowledge which enables him to become established in calmness. Without self-knowledge, there can be no abiding peace of mind. And those who are carried away by tempestuous passions cannot approach the holy place where calmness reigns. The weak man is like one who, having mounted a fiery steed, allows it to run away with him and carry him whithersoever it wills. The strong man is like one who, having mounted the steed, governs it with a masterly hand and makes it go in whatever direction and at whatever speed he commands. January 17th, thought for the morning. There is no strife, no selfishness in the kingdom. There is perfect harmony, equipoise, and rest. Those who live in the kingdom of love have all their needs supplied by the law of love. As self is the root cause of all strife and suffering, so love is the root cause of all peace and bliss. Those who are at rest in the kingdom do not look for happiness in any outward possessions. They are freed from all anxiety and trouble, and resting in love, they are the embodiment of happiness. Meditation for the day. All things are orderly and sequential, being governed by the law of causation. Do not trouble about results or be anxious as to the future, but be troubled about personal shortcomings and be anxious to remove them. For know this simple truth: wrong does not result from right, and a good present cannot give birth to a bad future. You are the custodian of your deeds, but not of the results which flow from them. The deeds of today bring the happiness or sorrow of tomorrow. Be therefore concerned about what you think and do, rather than about what may or may not come to you. For he whose deeds are good does not concern himself about results, and is freed from fear of future ill. Verily the Lord reigneth and reigneth forever, and justice and love are its eternal ministers. Thought for the evening. Let it not be supposed that the children of the kingdom live in ease and indolence. These two sins are the first that have to be eradicated when the search for the kingdom is entered upon. They live in a peaceful activity. In fact, they only truly live for the life of self, with its train of worries, griefs, and fears is not real life. Children of the kingdom are known by their life. They manifest the fruits of the Spirit. Good love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, meekness, temperance, and self-control, end quote, under all circumstances and vicissitudes. January 18th, thought for the morning. The gospel of Jesus is a gospel of living and doing. If we're not this, it would not voice the eternal truth. Its temple is purified conduct. The entrance door to which is self-surrender. It invites men to shake off sin and promises as a result. Joy and blessedness and perfect peace. The kingdom of heaven is perfect trust. Perfect knowledge, perfect peace. No sin can enter therein. No self-born thought or deed can pass its golden gates. No impure desire can defile its radiant robes. All may enter it who will, but all must pay the price, the unconditional abandonment of self. Meditation for the day. Speak only words which are truthful and sincere. The storm may rage without, but it cannot affect us if there is peace within. As by the fireside there is security from the fiercest storm, so the heart that is steadfast in the knowledge of truth abides in peace, though all around be strife and perturbation. The bitter opposition of men and the unrest of the world cannot make us bitter and restless unless we enter into and cooperate with it. Rather, if we have peace in our heart, will the outer turmoil cause our peace to deepen, to take firmer root, and to show forth more abundantly in works of peace for the softening of human hearts and the lightening of human minds. Blessed is he who has no wrongs to remember, no injuries to forget, in whose pure heart no hateful thought about another can take root and flourish. He who speaks evil of another cannot find the way of peace. Thought for the evening. I say this and know it to be truth, that circumstances can only affect you in so far as you allow them to do so. You are swayed by circumstances because you have not a right understanding of the nature, use, and power of thought. You believing upon this little world, belief hangs all our joys and sorrows. That outward things have the power to make or mar your life. By so doing, you submit to those outward things. Confess that you are their slave, and they your unconditional master. By so doing, you invest them with a power which they do not of themselves possess. And you succumb in reality not to the circumstances, but to the gloom or gladness, the fear or hope, the strength of weakness which your thoughts fear has thrown around them. January 19th, thought for the morning. If you are one of those who are praying for and looking forward to a happier world beyond the grave, here is a message of gladness for you. You may enter into and realize a happy world now. It fills the whole universe, and it is within you, waiting for you to find knowledge and possess. Said one who understood the inner laws of being, quote, when men shall say, lo here or lo there, go not after them. The kingdom of God is within you, end quote. Meditation for the day. Purification is necessarily severe. All becoming is painful. When a storm has subsided and all is calm again, observe how all nature seems to pause in a restorative silence. A result quiet pervades all things, so that even inanimate objects seem to participate in the recuperative repose. So when a too violent eagerness or a sudden burst of passion has spent itself, there comes a period of reflective thought, a time of calm in which the mind is restored, and things are seen in their true outlines and right proportions. It is wise to take advantage of this quiet time by gaining a truer knowledge of oneself and forming a more kindly judgment of others. The hour of calm is the hour of restoration. Joy comes and fills the self-emptied heart. It abides with the peaceful. Its reign is with the pure. Make your every thought, word, and deed sweet and pure. Thought for the evening. Heaven and hell are inward states. Sink into self and all its gratifications, and you sink into hell. Rise above self into that state of consciousness which is the utter denial and forgetfulness of self, and you enter heaven. So long as you persist in selfishly seeking for your own personal happiness, so long will happiness elude you, and you will be sowing the seeds of wretchedness. Insofar as you succeed in losing yourself in the service of others, and that measure will happiness come to you, and you will reap a harvest of bliss. January 20th. Thought for the morning. Sympathy given can never be wasted. One aspect of sympathy is that of pity. Pity for the distressed or pain-stricken, with a desire to alleviate or help them in their sufferings. The world needs more of this divine quality. Quote, for pity makes the world soft to the weak and noble for the strong. End quote. Another form of sympathy is that of rejoicing with others who are more successful than ourselves, and though their success were our own. Meditation for the day. In the dark times of sorrow, men approach very near to truth. When the tears flow and the heart aches, remember then the sorrow of the world. When sorrow has overtaken you, remember then that it overtakes all, that none escape it, that it is the great fact in human life that makes religion a necessity. Think not that your pain is isolated and unjustly inflicted. It is but a fragment of the great pain of the world. It is the common experience of all. Perceiving this, let sorrow gently lead you into a deeper religion, a wider compassion, a tenderer regard for all men and all creatures. Let it bring you into greater love and deeper peace. Be well in mind that nothing can overtake you that does not belong to you, and that is not for your eternal good. The end of sorrow is joy and peace. Thought for the evening. Sweet are companionships, pleasures, and material comforts, but they change and fade away. Sweet is still are purity, wisdom, and the knowledge of truth, and these never change nor fade away. He who has attained to the possession of spiritual things can never be deprived of his source of happiness. He will never have to part company with it. And wherever he goes in the whole universe, he will carry his possessions with him. His spiritual end will be the fullness of joy. January 21st, thought for the morning. Let your heart grow and expand with ever broadening love until freed from all hatred and passion and condemnation. It embraces the whole universe with thoughtful tenderness. As the flower opens its petals to receive the morning light, so open your soul more and more to the glorious light of truth. Soar upwards on the wings of aspiration. Be fearless and believe in the loftiest possibilities. Meditation for the day. The sorrowless state is reached to sorrow. As light displaces darkness and quiet follows storm, so gladness displaces sorrow and peace comes after pain. The deeper wisdom which flows from the acquaintance with sorrow brings with it a holier and more abiding joy than that shallow excitement that preceded sorrow. Between the lesser joys of the senses and the greater joy of the spirit lies a dark veil of sorrow through which all earthly pilgrims pass. And having passed through it, the heavenly joy, the abiding gladness, is henceforth our companion. They who have passed from the earthly to the heavenly pilgrimage have lifted the dark veil of sorrow from the radiant face of truth. He whose treasure is truth, who fashions his life in accordance with wisdom, will find the joy which does not pass away. Crossing the wide ocean of illusion, he'll come to the sorrowless shore. Thought for the evening. Mind clothes itself in garments of its own making. Mind is the arbiter of life. It is the creator and shaper of conditions and the recipient of its own results. It contains within itself both the power to create illusion and to perceive reality. Mind is the infallible weaver of destiny. Thought is the thread, good and evil deeds are the warp and woof, and the web woven upon the loom of life. Iscariot, make pure thy heart, and thou wilt make thy life rich, sweet, and beautiful, unmarred by strife. January 22nd, thoughts for the morning. Cherish your visions, cherish your ideals, cherish the music that stirs in your heart, the beauty that forms in your mind, the loveliness that drapes your purest thoughts. For out of them will grow all the lively conditions, all heavenly environment of these. If you will but remain true to them, your world will at last be built. Guard well thy mind and noble, strong, and guard well thy mind and noble, strong, and free. Nothing shall harm, disturb, or conquer thee. For all thy foes are in thy heart and mind, there also thy salvation thou shalt find. Meditation for the day. All outward oppression is but the shadow and effect of the real oppression within. In happiness and unhappiness, in joy and sorrow, in success and failure, in victory and defeat, in religion, business circumstances, in all the issues of life, the determining factor is character. In the mentality of the individuals lie the hidden causes of all that pertains to their outward life. Character is both cause and effect. It is the doer of deeds and the recipient of results. Heaven, hell, purgatory are contained within it. The character that is impure and vicious will experience a life from which the elements of happiness and beauty are lacking, wheresoever they may be placed. But a pure and virtuous character will show forth a life that is happy and beautiful. As you make your character, so will you shape your life. I'm going to end the video here, where we are currently on page 90. Please feel free to share your thoughts, your comments, your feedback, your insights. And let me know, please, what did you gain from this book thus far, if you're interested in doing so. I want to thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join me as I read this amazing book from James Allen. Please feel free to share your like or dislike by pressing the like or dislike button. I hope you had a beautiful day. I want to wish you a great day ahead. Thank you for shining a light. Thank you for sharing your amazing, beautiful penetration of light on this beautiful, lovely world. May your light keep shining all over. I love you. Take care. By the way, subscribe if you haven't already. It'd be much appreciated. Have a lovely day. Take care.